Hello, alongside Ryan, sir. I'm Don Helbig, and welcome to the Pick Six, the podcast by the Attractions Group, where we bring you the latest stories from the attractions and amusement industry.
Yeah, and before we delve into this week's Pick Six, let me remind you of where you can find us. We're on all your favorite podcast apps, Apple, Google, Spotify, and you can find the video version on YouTube by searching for the Attractions Group podcast and smashing that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to follow us on X/Twitter at attractions_GRP. Don, kick us off with some good news to start.
Well, I don't have good news, unfortunately. It's really sad news. And It comes out of Westchester, Ohio, where one of my favorite places, and I think yours too, Ryan, EnterTRAINment Junction, home to the largest train display in the world. It's closing next year. EnterTRAINment Junction announced it will discontinue operations in January of 2025. A specific date has not yet been determined. EnterTRAINment Junction opened in 2008 and has continuously added more layouts each month of its history to become the largest train display in the world. It also had a spectacular Coney Island, Cincinnati display as well. That was must see when you were there. But just if you were a train enthusiast like I am, Ryan, this was phenomenal place to visit a couple times a year, and to have something of that magnitude, within 30 miles, of where I lived in that. That was really cool as well too, because there were a lot of the visitors to EnterTRAINment Junction. I mean, they're coming from all over the place. But to have something like that in my backyard, growing up being a big train fan, I was always excited to visit.
Yeah, so EnterTRAINment Junction used to keep really good track of where the people came from. It was much lower volume than, a theme park, obviously. But they had been visited by all 50 states within the first year, and dozens and dozens of countries. In fact, they actually had a media story go out about, and I'm going to paraphrase this and I'm going to get stuff wrong, but I think that a kid from like New Zealand found them on YouTube, and he ended up coming out, talking his parents into flying all the way to the United States to check it out. So they gave him the red carpet treatment. So, and EnterTRAINment Junction, was one of my first opportunities to work with people like Bill Meffer doing PR and stuff. So it's very tough. The backstory, there's no like extracurriculars to the story. Let's dispel any rumors or whatever. Essentially, Don Aders, the owner, he owned it. Bill Balfour, former Kings Island entertainment guy, was the general manager. Bill decided a couple years ago that he was going to retire in January of 25. And Don was like, you know what? I count on you so much that I'm going to find somebody to buy this place, or I'm not going to do it without you. Unfortunately, couldn't find a buyer, and they did the best thing that they could do, and that's announcing here in June of 2024 that they will in fact be closing in January of 2025. So make sure you give them a visit. If you haven't been there, then make sure you go. Don't miss out. World's largest indoor train display, G-scale models. It's got the world's largest marble display. I'm not making that up. The world's largest Thomas the Tank Engine toy collection, and the world's most amazing funhouse. Now, the most amazing funhouse thing is something they claim. The other stuff is like Guinness World Record, but such a wonderful place, such a loss. I hope that somebody swoops in and saves it. It's unlikely, but hit them up, entertainmentjunction.com, get some tickets, and go visit them in Westchester.
What's next?
So this is actually kind of good news. So Country Bear Jamboree will reopen as Country Bear Musical Jamboree at Disney's Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida on July 17th. And that's following some updates. The revamped show will feature new songs and new costumes. So yeah, they're going to be singing Disney songs. What's funny is, I'm not the first person to like root on like, oh, this is like culturally insensitive or whatever. But Country Bear Jamboree was like, there were lyrics in there where if like your 5-year-old daughter was singing them, you'd slap her across the face. So I think this was a necessary change. But here's a cool thing. although Tiana's Bayou Adventure has been kind of like slammed by everybody that's ridden it for the most part, this one, for those who have gotten to check it out, the rumor going around is that this renovation is really, really cool and really good.
Yeah, well, the Country Bears, I mean, they've been part of the fabric of Walt Disney World since, Magic Kingdom opened. So I'm glad that they were able to, and want, to keep that attraction going and just kind of, updating it, for now.
Yeah. Are you a fan? Do you,
I am.
I've only gotten to do it once. I'd always heard about it, but it just went past me. And becoming an annual pass holder there, you have more time on your hands to like explore. And I'm glad we got to check it out for before it got renovated. So at least I
that
can
was
have my own
something.
opinion.
Yeah, before the renovation, that was something that I always thought would could be on the chopping block as they make way for new IPs and things like that. So to see it renovated and that they're still around, I think that's exciting news for longtime Disney fans like myself.
Yeah. So speaking of animals, what's next, Don?
What's going on in Sandusky, Ohio? I mean, first it was camels. Now goats are making their grand escape at Cedar Point. This past Saturday, a TikTok video posted by Buddy Loves Rides captured multiple goats fleeing from the barnyard, the petting zoo at Cedar Point. The footage shows these furry fugitives slipping through a hole in the fence. Now, earlier in the week, 2 camels from the barnyard also made a brief escape, going viral on social media. Now, it's unclear whether the goats were inspired by the trend-setting camels or they simply decided to take Saturdays off from their day job at the barnyard.
They have a pretty cool job just being pet and fed all the time. I would take that job, but I I have heard the theory, and I kind of subscribe to it, that since the camels got out and PETA got involved in stuff, that somebody intentionally opened the gate to make this happen. I'm not saying that's true, but I'm saying that that's what some people are theorizing. And because what are the
Are you
chances?
saying like a guest? Or are you saying
Like a guess?
internally? A guest?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
No, the goats didn't do it. They don't have the
No,
opposable
yeah, but I
thumb.
mean, yeah, I can see, yeah, I can see it being a something that a guest did, but it just seems like for Cedar Point, you just feel bad for them because it just seems like the hits just keep coming with these negative news stories like that.
Yeah, it kind of stinks, and I hope this doesn't kind of put an end to the petting zoo, because I actually really enjoy it.
Oh, it's a very popular attraction at Cedar Point. I love seeing the animals when I go there.
Yeah. So Cedar Point, let's talk about their parent company, Cedar Fair. So Cedar Fair and Six Flags announced that they have notified the New York Stock Exchange that they're closing on the Cedar Fair and Six Flags previously announced merger of equals, which is expected to occur July 1st, 2024. The completion of the merger is subject to the satisfaction or waiver of a number of conditions set forth in the merger agreement relating to the mergers, including the satisfaction of regulatory conditions. So we should note that it's not yet approved. They did disclose that, but they seem to think in their release that July 1st is the date that it's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's nice to have a date. A lot of speculation for guests, since the park's open this year is, when are they going to announce the merger? You've got, the associates, people involved with both Six Flags and Cedar Point, they're kind of, in limbo wondering what's happening. It gets to a point to where, you can always say it's business as usual, just keep doing what you're doing, but it does become a distraction, when a merger is going to happen. So it's nice to have that date, and hopefully it, closes, right at July 1st or soon thereafter. And, then it becomes the new company.
Yay. Okay. Next up.
This month marks the 65th anniversary of one of Disney's most beloved attractions, the Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland Resort. Now, to celebrate, the Disney Parks blog, one of my favorite sites out there, be sure to check it out, has unveiled a collection of fascinating historical photos. In 1958, Walt Disney found inspiration in the jagged peaks of Switzerland's Matterhorn mountain while filming The Third Man on the Mountain. And legend has it, he sent a postcard to his Imagineers with a picture of the mountain and the words, all in caps, build this. The Disneyland version, built at 1/100 scale, it's 147 feet, Opened on June 14th, 1959. It was the world's first roller coaster with a tubular steel track and a unique electronic dispatch system, revolutionizing the industry and setting a new standard for modern roller coasters.
Yeah. Never ridden it. I want to, though. I've never been to Disneyland.
I got to ride it when I was out at Disneyland. I was able to get out there a couple of times. It's been a minute, so it'll be 20 years, once we get into to next year, since I last was there. But I need to get back. But yeah, I mean, I rode it and knew that I was riding something special, historical. If you're at Disneyland, you have to ride the Matterhorn.
Yeah. So, yeah. So heading over to Six Flags once again. This week, Six Flags opened Savannah Sunset Resort and Spa at its 510-acre Great Adventure Park in Jackson, New Jersey, about 50 miles east of Philadelphia and 65 miles south of New York City. Savannah Sunset includes 20 glamping suites with a safari motif to match the park's adjacent Wild Safari adventure, which boosts the drive-through experience where park goers can see more than 1,000 animals, including elephants, tigers, zebras, and more. That's pretty cool. So, I mean, like lodging and stuff, that's a big investment.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. It's, we talked about this, several months ago when they first announced it.
Yes.
And we talked about it was, going to be a cool experience for guests. And I keep looking at, I'm going to be in New York City first week in August. And, you can never say it's not that far away because it takes forever, with the traffic and that in New Jersey from New York City to New Jersey, but it's, within a couple hours away, and, trying to figure out a way that I can get over to Six Flags Great Adventure. Doesn't look like it's going to work out though, but I'm hoping to make that happen.
I want to ride King to Ka in the worst way, I have to admit.
I do too.
All right, let's move on to the listener questions. First one, Mark T. from Louisville, Kentucky. He asked, best blue ice cream, Kings Island or Holiday World? Now, I want to point out that Mark T. is uniquely qualified to ask this question because he's right at the halfway point between Kings Island and Holiday World. So he has to make that choice every day as to where to go and purchase this blue ice cream. Don, I have never had Holiday World's blue ice cream, and I think I've maybe had Kings Island's blue ice cream once 10 years ago or more. I need you to answer this for me.
Well, Kings Island's is the probably the more famous of the two. But in terms of the taste, the flavor, I'm going to give Holiday World the edge. I just find that it tastes more like a blueberry type ice cream flavor. Kings Island's is good, but it doesn't have that same taste, that blueberry taste that it had when it first debuted back in the 1980s. So it's kind of changed over the years with the flavoring and that. So to me, that gives Holiday World the edge, that it's just got a little bit better flavor to it.
Yeah, there you have it. Holiday World, better blue ice cream. Next question, Bill S. from Dalton, Georgia. Any news on Top Thrill 2 and when it might reopen? I want to visit Cedar Point this summer, but I'm not going to drive 9 hours and over 600 miles if it's going to be closed. Well, I think
first
you're asking the wrong people.
If you're 9 hours away or 600 miles away, just fly, right?
Right.
Well, then you got to fly to Cleveland and all. I mean, you still got to drive a couple hours. But you know what? I think this. If you want to go to Cedar Point, go to Cedar Point. If you're just banking on one ride, specifically being open, you don't know. You never know. These rides are machines. Any ride, any day, at any amusement park, could go down for electrical, mechanical, whatever the reason might be. So you can never bank on it. So I would just say, even if you know it's going to be down and you have a time, slot that you were going to go because you're going to have a fantastic time. Cedar Point has some of the best collection of roller coasters in the world. Steel Vengeance, one of the best RMCs that you're going to have be able to experience. You've got Millennium Force, outstanding coaster. You've got Maverick. That's high on a lot of enthusiasts' list. When you say what are your favorite coasters, Maverick seems to always be in that top 10. Raptor, great steel inverted coaster. You've got Magnum XL 200. Still a fantastic ride. That debuted in 1989, and it's still one of my favorites. Great suspended coaster with Iron Dragon. love that ride. And then you've got a, solid, strong collection of flat rides, the culinary experience at Cedar Point. That gets lost in the shuffle of how good the roller coasters and that are. But, you'll go home, remembering the food as much as you will the thrills. So, I wouldn't postpone your trip just because Top Thrill 2 isn't open. I would certainly, go ahead, make the trip. You're going to have a fantastic time. And if Top Thrill is open at that point in time, great. If it's not, it's just, a ride that you miss on this trip.
Yeah. Plus, we wouldn't, I mean, we can't speculate any more than you as to when it will open.
No idea.
So, and the way that it sounds, and like, again, I have no idea. Because they came out with that statement saying that it would be down for an extended period of time. Okay, cool. That was the right thing to do. And then a few weeks later, they came out with a statement saying they're still working on it. It was essentially the same statement. That tells me that was around the time they thought they'd have it open, and that's why they felt like it was proper to.
Yeah, well, originally they said it won't be an all summer type thing. Well, we're in the middle of June already now, so summer's slipping away.
Yeah, and again, we don't know.
Just started. It's slipping away. It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, that's how it is. I mean, it's a blink of an eye. You and I were already talking about doing a Tower Topics on no longer being daily operations, and I feel like they just started. But then again, we do have a month or more left, so that's cool. But yeah, hopefully you get to make it out there. Hopefully it's open. But Bill, safe travels, and enjoy your trip if you end up going.
We got some really sad news to report. It's not the industry we talk about, but baseball legend Willie Mays passed away at the age of 93.
Oh, really?
The tribute game that they're having in his honor in Birmingham, that takes on a whole new meaning. That he just just passed away. But I remember my dad, telling me that was the greatest player that he ever saw. So to say, hey kid, Willie Mays has passed at the age of 93. That just came across my alerts here and makes me sad.
Yeah, and my understanding, if I recall, he made what is accepted as the greatest catch in baseball history.
Yes,
from second base to the outfield wall.
1954 World Series.
Yeah,
made that catch. So yeah, I mean, it's really sad news.
Yeah, well, so may he rest in peace, and he made some fantastic contributions. I made the joke, and I think that Willie Mays would have appreciated this, but I remember when they had the All-Star game. It wasn't the one in Cincinnati. It was a couple years before that when they had a bunch of, like baseball players that were retired but were still in decent. They had like Darryl Strawberry, people like that, and they were throwing the ball around and stuff. And they had Willie Mays come out on the field, and he's got like a walking cane and he was probably 88 to 90 at that time. I remember tweeting out like, how come they don't let Willie Mays play? He played baseball too. But yeah.
This guy, a 24-time All-Star. It's a 24-time All-Star. Most guys don't even play 12 years. So he doubled that. 12-time Gold Glover, 2-time Most Valuable Player. He's a World Series champion, a Hall of Famer. I'm just now looking at a video of that catch you were talking about. One of the most exciting all-around players in the history of the sport if you were a baseball fan. And I was fortunate enough my first ever baseball game I ever went to, Crosley Field, was against the San Francisco Giants with the Reds. And Willie Mays was in the lineup. And I remember my dad, telling me that this was, the game's best player and how good he was. And so that was my introduction to baseball, was Willie Mays.
Yeah. So may he rest in peace. Willie, thank you for your contribution to the game, but yeah, well, we'll come back. We've got a lot of weird news with mergers and sad news about Willie Mays and EnterTRAINment Junction, but episode 99 next week, we're going to have some good news. We're going to have some good news in this world, but
yeah, we're going to have news next week, something that you're going to want to take part in.
Awesome. We'll see you next week, everybody.